I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Matt Duchesne of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Justus Aros of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Ryan Johansson of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. And before we get started on the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you learn everything you need to know about the show. And once you're good and educated about the show, you can click on that merchandise tab, and that's where you're going to find our classic logo t-shirt, our pride logo t-shirt, all of our different special event t-shirts like this Home Base Freak Out 2 t-shirt right here, and all of our brand new t-shirts. The last one, the Die Line, is out, and those t-shirts are awesome. Absolutely love the one that I've just picked up. Sean C. Smith just picked up one as well, and several other Renegades. So appreciate everyone picking up that merchandise. Oh yeah, all the other gimmicks you couldn't know and love and expect from Renegades, puck, socks, throw, pillows, wall art, bed sets, all of it. Outfit your entire home, outfit your entire body with Renegades of Puck merch, and we sure would appreciate if you would do so. After all, we have sold out so that you can buy in. Social media is of critical importance to this independent hockey operation, so listen up, Renegades. Here's how you can help the cause. Please go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to Instagram or TikTok. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription, and then let the world know that you are listening to and watching the Renegades of Puck podcast. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you'll find Renegades of Puck TV. Well over 200 episodes now on our YouTube channel. And again, we appreciate everyone who's been following along and joining as of late. It sure does help us out a lot here in the trenches to have your support. Also, you can find the audio podcast on numerous platforms, and that is thanks to the Full Press Hockey Network. We are so happy to be part of the Full Press Coverage Network, and they are putting us in front of more Renegades than ever before and on more platforms than ever before. That's why we are achieving so many significant milestones and welcoming in Renegades from around the world, more and more each and every day. We are so appreciative of everything they're doing. Here's a couple of examples of where you can find the podcast. Just search Renegades of Puck in your preferred platform, or just go to Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or even Amazon, and you can find the Renegades of Puck podcast on any of those platforms. Venmo is how you can help the show out financially. We are an independent hockey operation right here, so even $1 goes a long way to helping the Renegades of Puck. Scan the QR code that's currently on the screen, or just search Renegades of Puck on Venmo and make a donation to us. Thanks to generous Renegades just like you, we've made massive improvements here to the structure and facilities and the equipment known as the bunker. The Renegades of Puck are eternally appreciative of each and every one of you who have taken the time and given us your hard-earned money. Thank you so much. We are very, very appreciative of it. Now, listen, I know it's time for the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. It's time for operation number 765. That is right. It is time for show number 765. And at this moment in hockey history, the Milwaukee Admirals currently find themselves down by 1 in the best-of-7 Western Conference Final Series to the Coachella Valley Firebirds. After falling 6-4, we will go over each and every bit of the details from Game 1 coming up momentarily. But after falling 6-4 in Game 1 in Coachella Valley, it is now up to Game 2 on Saturday night, 9 o'clock Central Time start. Then the series will shift back to Milwaukee on Monday, and that will be, of course, a much earlier start, 6 o'clock local time start. Then Thursday will be Game 4, Saturday Game 5, necessary Game 6 will take place on June the 5th. Then Game 7, if necessary, would take place on June the 7th. So we move into Game 2. On the other side of the bracket in the Eastern Conference Final Series, they've already completed 2 games. It was Rochester defeating Hershey in Game 1, 5-1, giving Rochester a 1-0 lead in that best-of-7. But Rochester fell in Hershey in Game 2, 2-0, tying the series up at 1 apiece. Both of these series will be on the ice on Saturday night. When it comes to the stats update for the Milwaukee Admirals, and we'll focus on the Western Conference Series now and then really drill down on Game 1. Luke Evangelista leads Milwaukee Admirals in scoring. He has 4 goals and 9 assists for 13 points. It is Gross at 2-9 for 11, second on the team in scoring. Del Gaizo, 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points. Sherwood, 2-6 for 8. Kemmel, 6 goals, leads the Milwaukee Admirals in scoring. 1 assist for 7 points. And Afanasiev, 2-5 for 7 in net. Yaroslav Askarov is 6-5 overall with a .901 save percentage and a 2.67 goals against average. Coachella Valley updated stats. Decord, we'll start with him in net since we just gave you Askarov's stats. Decord is now 9-5 in the playoffs with a .930 save percentage and a 2.22 goals against average. Highly impressive statistics from the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Lind leads the AHL Calder Cup playoffs in scoring, 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. McCormick, 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points. Evans, 2 and 12 for 14. Hughes, 0 and 13 for 13 overall. And True, 4 goals and 8 assists for 12 points. And then you get all the way down. McCarron, 6 and 5 for 11. It is a ton of points on the Coachella Valley side of the statistics. Now we are all the way through game 1, waiting for game 2. So let's go back and let's break down and let's talk about what happened in game 1, and that'll also lead to our analysis and preview of game 2. So we call it the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap, and it is coming up next.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
It's now time for the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap. We go all the way back to May the 25th of the year 2023, and the Milwaukee Admirals were in Coachella Valley to take on the Firebirds. Game 1 Western Conference Final, best of 7 series. Winner of this series goes on to compete for the Calder Cup. We are 19 seconds into the series in the first ever meeting between these two teams. What a strange circumstance to meet for the first time ever in game 1 of a conference final series. Anyway, 19 seconds into this first ever meeting, it's Askarov coming up with the first ever save against Coachella Valley Firebirds. It comes on Lind, and that, of course, with the shoulder, the first shot on goal of the game, 102 of the first period. Delgado hitting the crossbar, 2:12 of the first period. Decord coming with a save on Sherwood. That would be the first shot on goal for the Milwaukee Admirals. But at 3:54 of the first period, it would be Milwaukee with an undisciplined penalty, too many men on the ice. That's going to lead to a conversion for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Karche, his third goal of the playoffs, was a wrist shot from the high slot. No traffic. Sort of a troublesome goal for Askarov here early in game 1 of the series. So Milwaukee, an undisciplined penalty, and then not necessarily the best goal against Coachella Valley, has a 1-0 lead on home ice. But the Admirals would respond as they have done so many times throughout the playoffs. It would be Kemmel with his 6th goal of the playoffs. It was a deflection of Wilsby's long shot, tying the game up at 1 apiece. The Admirals did not wait long, less than a minute, tying this game up at 1 apiece. 5:24 of the first period would be McEwen off the box, 2 minutes for tripping. Sanford would get a great shorthanded scoring chance on the rebound jam. Decord would come up with both of those stops, and that would lead to a scrum after the whistle. At 9:01 of the first period, Evans would be off to the box, 2 minutes, and it would be a slow to organize power play for the Milwaukee Admirals. They would pick up one strong chance right near the expiration of the power play on a favorable back wall rebound that came behind the netminder Decord, but Decord was able to collect himself and find the loose puck and fall down onto it before the Admirals could do any more damage. 14:55 of the first period, Afanasieff is off to the box. He's picking up a 2-minute minor here. Askarov is coming up with a save on Lind, and that would be all for Coachella Valley on this power play. At 18:49 of the first period, would be Askarov coming up with a save on Wright. We hit the end of the first period, tied at 1 apiece. Coachella Valley Firebirds with 11 shots on goal, but the Milwaukee Admirals only five shots on goal in the entire first period, and too many trips to the box. At 57 seconds of the second period, it's Decord coming out with a save on Sanford. At 1:53 of the second period, Askarov coming up with a save on Pagansky. At 4:01, Askarov a save on Rafferty. 5:28, we see Terensky off to the box, 2 minutes for tripping. We would have a continuation, and during that continuation, we would see some physical play. It would be McCarron and Wicho ultimately ending up in the box, 2 minutes each for roughing. A hard hit led to some scrumming it up and face washing after the whistle. It ends up evening up with those two, giving the Admirals the original power play. It would be Schultz, though, scoring a shorthanded goal off of the rush. Not seemingly to be that tremendous of a shot either, but it was good enough to beat Askarov. The defenseman knifes through the Admirals while they are on the power play and scores a shorthanded goal, putting the Coachella Valley Firebirds up 2-1. DeCord would come up with a save on Phil Tomasino as the power play had plenty of time left over. Then DeCord would come up with a save on Sherwood as well. At 7:40 of the second period, Askarov comes up with a save on Polarowski. At 7:50 of the second period, it's Phil Tomasino's first goal of the playoffs. He completes the 3-on-1 rush with Delgado and Huntington, and Phil Tomasino ties this game at 2 apiece. Great to see Phil Tomasino finally getting on the board with a goal in these playoffs. At 10:22 of the second, it's DeCord coming up with a save on Delgado at 13:34. Askarov comes with a save on Wright at 14:32. Olofsson's off to the box minutes for tripping on Luke Evangelista. Evangelista doing a good job working the puck down into the slot area and trying to get even closer to the net when he draws the penalty. DeCord would have to come up with a save on Ratcliffe during the power play, but that would be the Admirals' best and only scoring chance. 19:40 of the second period, McCormick hits the crossbar from long range. Another shot from long range that seemed to elude Askarov on the way in. At the end of the second period, Admirals a little bit better with shots on goal. Now 15 for the game, 10 in that period, doubling their first period total in the second period. Coachella has 21 shots on goal for the game. We go into the third period on the clean sheet. We're 1:52 into the third period. It's McCarron coming up with this second goal of the playoffs. It was a wrist shot from the high slot and just outstanding movement by the Admirals, leading to this scoring opportunity and goal. The Admirals have a 3-2 lead in the third period over the Coachella Valley Firebirds. 6:07 of the third period. It's DeCord coming up with a save on Tomasino at close range. 6:26. Askarov comes with a save on Petman, but at 7:22 of the third period, it's McCormick's 8th goal of the playoffs. It comes at the end of an awful series of misplays by Milwaukee. The netminder, the defenders, the forwards, all of them guilty. And this is not the first time I have had to have a description of a play just like this. It was an easy finish by the end for McCormick. Again, his 8th of the playoffs. Milwaukee Admirals simply screwed this play up in every way you could possibly do it. The only thing they didn't do is shoot it into their own net. But other than that, they did everything wrong and everything right to help McCormick score this goal. Just absolutely maybe the worst goal against in the entire playoffs when you add up the number of mistakes made over a sequence here. 3-3 hockey game in the third period, but immediately 8:09 to the third period. It's Podorowski's second goal of the playoffs. Wrist shot off of the rush. Again, seeming to be a long shot. Not much traffic. Didn't seem to be a high degree of difficulty, but it finds its way to the back of the net. 4-3 now in favor of Coachella Valley Firebirds. Timeout. Milwaukee Admirals Carl Taylor has utilized the timeout to settle the squad down and reverse momentum before. Let's see if it would play out that way. 10:54 of the third period. McCormick, his 9th goal of the playoffs. It was a wrist shot from the high slot after an offsides was clearly not called. That gives Coachella Valley a 5-3 lead in this game. And 11:13 of the third period, it's McEwen off the box, 2 minutes for charging. Overall, decent PK by the Admirals, but losing this time right here certainly is hurting their effort. 16:47 of the third period. It's DeCord coming up with a save on Tomasino. We hit the empty net scenario. Askarov off to the bench with 3:13 remaining at 17:44. That's where we see McCormick completing the hat trick, his 10th goal of the playoffs, and it was into the empty net, giving Coachella a 6-3 lead. At 18:06 of the third period, Huntington would get his second goal of the playoffs. A long shot through traffic finds its way to the back of the net past DeCord. 6-4 now in favor of the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and that would be your final at the end of game one. Coachella Valley Firebirds outshoot the Milwaukee Admirals 29-22. It was a game where the Admirals led in the third period and they end up losing by 2. They just simply did too many things wrong to ever possibly win a playoff game, especially against a team that has been as hot and is offensively gifted as the Coachella Valley Firebirds. We have a lot to talk about from that game, a lot of analysis, a lot of detail, and stats, box score, all of that still coming up right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast. That was the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness. And that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah.
Askarov was 23 out of 28 in this game, and I've got to say it was not a very good game, and there's something that has started to become a bit of a trend in these playoffs, and I boiled it down to the conversation of instinct versus time to think. And it seems like when it comes to athletic reaction, instinctual goaltending plays, Askarov is absolutely fine. He is still making these top-notch 5-star saves at times of games. But then there are the other times of the games when there are long shots coming in, when he has time to see it, time to think about it, and time to, frankly, make the save. And he doesn't seem to be making those saves on any sort of consistent basis. It's kind of odd. He is a rookie netminder. There is a lot of pressure on him right now. This is the first time the Admirals have been in the conference finals in a very, very long time. So we have no idea what he's going through. When he has time to think, though, it seems like those pucks that are not that high degree difficulty of shots are finding their way into the back of the net. Not a lot of traffic coming from long distance, not necessarily being that heavy of a shot. Just wrist shots going over the block, or wrist shots just going over the glove, pucks just finding their way into the back of the net. So the instinct versus time to think discussion is certainly something that I've put a lot of time into and a lot of thought into, and I noticed that this is a trend with absolute certainty. Now, for the playoffs, 2.67 goals against average. That's right on pace with what he did during the regular season, which he had a 2.69 goals against average. The 901 save percentage, though, now has dipped below what he had accomplished in the regular season of .911. In the playoffs for this round, .909 coming into game one, now down to .901. Now, listen, there are people asking, what about Devin Cooley? Devin Cooley has been the backup for every game in the playoffs. Devin Cooley has playoff experience with the Milwaukee Admirals. Matter of fact, turned in a very, very solid couple of games last season for this Admirals team. That's not going to happen. Cooley is not going to get a start. Askarov is the ride-or-die goaltender for the Milwaukee Admirals. He's one of the highest touted prospects in the Nashville Predators system, and this is his playoff run. This is his chance to learn and get the experience, and even if he fails, the Milwaukee Admirals are going to go with him all the way to the end. He's played every minute of every playoff game so far for the Milwaukee Admirals, and I don't see any reason that they are going to make that change. Even if the Admirals come back home down 2-0 and Askarov has another game that's not particularly great, he's still going to get the start on home ice. Let's talk about some of the performances from this game. I do have some positive things to say. Tomasino picked up a goal in this game, his first of the playoffs. Finally, Philip Tomasino, 5 shots on goal, his best game of the playoffs, and that is a great sign. I've been waiting for Philip Tomasino, as you know, as we've discussed at least once per series so far, to turn that corner and become the player that we know he is. He's an offensive threat. He is a very gifted hockey player. He has an attention to detail that is top-notch, and we just simply have not seen it on any consistency throughout the playoffs. Picking up a goal, having 5 shots on goal, being very noticeable in this game, I think that is a great sign for the Milwaukee Admirals, with the rest of the series still to go and possibly another round. Philip Tomasino catching fire at this moment in time would go a long way to helping the Milwaukee Admirals in this best of 7 against the Firebirds. Let's talk about the D, and let's talk about the D on O. We knew that this series was probably going to have a lot of scoring in it. The Coachella Valley Firebirds have been involved in a lot of high-scoring games. Yes, they've been involved in some squeakers and some nail-biters too, but it seems like a lot of high-scoring games with this team. And the D on offense for the Admirals. We know that they're going to contribute, and they certainly did. 6 assists in this game one against the Firebirds. Stastny and Wilsby each with 2. Strong on the rush all night long for the Milwaukee Admirals. They were able to lead the breakout. They were able to get across the blue line. The only time that the Admirals had trouble getting into the zone seemed like was when they were on the power play, and we'll talk about that more in a second. But the D carrying the puck did a great job, and Wilsby and Stastny deserve a lot of credit for the hard work that they've been putting in this entire playoff run. They don't put up a lot of the glamorous stats, but in this particular night and time, 2 assists for each of them, and they certainly have been playing good, strong, tight, tough defense out there throughout the majority of the playoffs. Kemmel picks up a goal in this game. It's his 6th goal of the playoffs. He leads the team 9 games played. He's played 2 less games than the bulk of the roster, and he has fully arrived. He knows how to find the quiet and open space out there on the rink. He certainly knows how to rip it. He follows right along Philip Forsberg, Eli Tolvanen, and now Kemmel. There's no doubt about that. He is easily able to go ahead and rip that puck. His shot is absolutely incredible. Special teams woes is something that we absolutely have to talk about. What has happened to this power play? On the regular season, the Milwaukee Admirals had the number 1 power play in the entire AHL, and in the playoffs going into the series, 28.1% in this game, 0 for 3, and giving up a shorthanded goal against. Where was the power play that was so good and crisp and effective throughout every point of the season up until, well, game 1? The shorthanded goal against was just absolutely one of the worst special teams plays I've seen by the Admirals so far in this playoffs. The defenseman cut right through, right down the middle, and just takes it in and just shoots it into the net. Nobody particularly looking good on that. Well, except for the player that scored. Sloppy special teams overall, start to finish in this game. I just didn't think the Admirals were anywhere near the team that was number 1 in the regular season in the power play and number 3 overall in the league in penalty kill. Those 2 units have to step up, and you know what? The Admirals need to take less penalties. They took entirely too many penalties, especially in the first period, allowing Coachella Valley to really get their skates underneath them. Just overall, it's just poor play. Soft goals, turnovers, poor communication, bad penalties. It all just leads to this grand conclusion that Coachella Valley Firebirds did not beat the Milwaukee Admirals in Game 1. The Milwaukee Admirals beat the Milwaukee Admirals in Game 1. Their extremely poor play at certain points of the game, from turnovers to bad special teams to soft goaltending, all of that led to the Coachella Valley Firebirds winning this game. The positive side of things for the Milwaukee Admirals is they can absolutely play with this Firebirds team, and they can beat this Firebirds team. Not with an effort or not with a skill set and performance like they had in Game 1. But if they can get back to playing the hockey we know that the Admirals can play, Askarov coming up with a much better game than he had in this one, and frankly, the forwards getting on board and playing a little bit better, we know that the Admirals can skate with Firebirds' team now that we have seen them go up against each other for the first time ever head-to-head. But this was some of the poorest overall play by the Admirals in an entire playoff game. It was just bad, and the Admirals beat the Admirals. The good news is the Admirals can defeat the Admirals, so let's get the Admirals back on the ice in Game 2 and see if they can beat the Firebirds now. It wasn't pretty out there, but Game 1 in the books. It's a best of 7. If the Admirals get the split, they come back home for 3 games on home ice. There would be a series-winning scenario. If the Admirals can get the split, they would have the opportunity to win the series on home ice. That's the only way they'll have the opportunity to win the series on home ice is if they win Game 2. So, of course, we'll be here to track it. We'll be here to talk about it all, and I can't wait to get to Game 2 because the Admirals need to come up with a much better, more consistent, stronger performance. And I know that they are fully capable of it because, honestly, that was so far in the playoffs that might have been the overall the poorest total performance that they put out there on the ice. Now that that's behind them, get to work in Game 2, get the split, you go home, mission accomplished. Everything is going to be in a good spot, and then you're in a best of 5, and you have home ice advantage with 3 consecutive games on your home rink. All right, that's going to do it for the analysis. We got the box score. We got some more coming up right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast right after this. The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business, and that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way, from startup to full-time operation. Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions. When it comes to the box score, this series I think is going to have plenty of numbers to talk about in the box score. We've already seen a game that combined for 10 goals in game one. We certainly didn't see numbers like that at any point in the previous rounds with the Milwaukee Admirals. So your goal scorers for this game: Huntington, Tomasino, McCarron, and Kemmel. Kemmel, of course, leading the team in goals. On the assist side of things, Spencer Stastny had 2 assists. Adam Wheelsby had 2 assists. Also, Afanasiev had an assist. Huntington had an assist. Kevin Gravel had an assist. And Mark Delgado had an assist. When it comes to shots on goal, Phil Tomasino with 5 led the Milwaukee Admirals. And again, have to make the comment, turning that corner finally? I sure do hope so, because this was a really strong performance from Phil Tomasino. And in a better team-wide game, I know that Phil Tomasino can help contribute to a victory. It was Delgado with 4 shots on goal, second on the Admirals. And it was Sherwood with 3 shots on goal, and it was Jankowski out there with the -4 in this game. Tough night for Mark Jankowski in net. Askarov 23 out of 28, and he takes the loss. And when it comes to the rest of the stats, shots on goal, it was Coachella Valley 29, Milwaukee 22, and the special teams, the Admirals 0 for 3 on the power play and give up a shorthanded goal against Coachella Valley 1 for 4. That means on the penalty kill, the Admirals were 3 for 4, and the Coachella Valley Firebirds were 3 for 3. That's going to do it for the box score and the stats. That means it's time to close out this episode of the Renegades of Puck podcast, episode number 765. And on the way out the door, got to update you on the Renegades of Puck Hockey Club. Big tilt last night against the Classics down at the Gary Force Acura Ice Arena in Nolensville. Only Bryce Levette out of the lineup for this game, so Caleb McKinney filling in on the first line. Excellent job and an outstanding hockey player. We were proud to have him in the room, and we were very happy to have him out there on the ice with the Renegades of Puck. Different story than last week. Right off the opening puck drop, this game, highly contested. The Classics putting out a team that can really skate and move the puck with a couple of big bodies and some former players that I certainly recognize have had many, many battles against over the years. Good, spirited hockey out there on the rink. Renegades Puck got out to a 1-0 lead early. It would be tied up shortly after that. In the second period with the long change, we had a little bit of difficulty getting our lineup straightened out and getting our shift changes done as quickly as we were doing earlier. So the long change made us suffer just a little bit. Also, good heavy pressure coming in waves by the Classics. They were really pushing the pace of the play in the second period. They ended up tying the game up at 1 apiece. Called a timeout there in the middle of the second just to regroup. Right after the timeout, Chris Brady goes out there and leads his line down the ice. Chris Martell gets the tip in front of the net off of Brady's shot from out there near the blue line. We took a 2-1 lead at that point in the game. Seemed to protect that lead for a good long time. Rest of the second period, the majority of the third period, we were certainly working hard out there, and the Classics were certainly putting the press on us, trying to get that tying goal, and they would achieve getting that tying goal. It would be some special teams back and forth there in the third period that would get us a little bit out of sorts again. We hadn't had a lot of special teams play with the Renegades Puck so far, so something we'll look to work on here moving forward. But they're able to get the tying goal. The Classics jam the puck home. Nothing Andy Franklin could do in net on this one. He made the initial save and possibly 3 more saves before finally that loose puck, just the dogged determination of the Classics to find that puck into the back of the net. They were able to do so, tying the game up at 2 apiece with just around 37 seconds to go in in the third period, the Renegades of Puck would make one last rush at it. Ben Brinton would take the puck down the ice and fire it almost into the top corner, almost giving the Renegades of Puck a win in regulation. Going to the 3-on-3 overtime session. It's a 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime in this league at the Gary Forsack Ice Arena in Nolensville. It would be the Renegades of Puck pinned in down deep in their zone for a solid 3.5 minutes. Numerous line changes, just trying to find anyone with fresh legs. It was play by volunteer at this point, as half of the roster was expelled and down and just physically too exhausted to go out there and handle the 3-on-3 style of play in the overtime. Everybody had a chance to participate. Everybody jumped on, jumped off, and we finally got some legs underneath us, and that's when TJ and Zach McCann went to work on the rush right around the 4-minute mark of the 3-on-3, and it was Zach McCann finishing the playoff with the overtime game-winning goal and a celebration that I simply will never forget. Hockey hugs all the way around for the Renegades of Puck, and just an incredible back-and-forth hockey game all night long. That's what it's all about. Good, hard competition, good spirited competition, and although it got chippy and there were some penalties, there were no bad attitudes and there were certainly no sour moments. Just good, hard hockey. Sometimes you get a penalty for playing good, hard hockey. No problems at all. The Classics, one hell of a team and a classy bunch, and I'm quite certain we'll see them again. But we secured 3-2 victory over the Classics in overtime. Zach McCann now 4 goals on the season. Run ZMC is looking to go for the MVP. It rhymes, so we're going to make a t-shirt for it. I pretty much can see it already. Renegades Puck Hockey Club 2-0 on the season. Another big game coming up next week. We'll cover it right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast, because hockey culture covers all. Don't care where you play it, what level you play it at, or what surface you play it on. If you're playing the glorious game, then the Renegades of Puck are down to come and watch it, cover it, and be a part of it. We sure do appreciate each and every one of you for participating in the positivity of the hockey culture and the brand that we are building here with the Renegades of Puck. Something big coming up June the 13th. We're going to be having a special commentary. You'll want to check that out. For the first time ever, I'll be speaking about the Renegades of Puck Declaration of Independence that happened just a couple of years ago. It's never been spoken about publicly, but it will be now. I'm your host and Captain Crazy Charlie Saunier. Man, I sure do appreciate your time. I appreciate your viewership, and I certainly appreciate each and every one of you, Renegades. Stick taps, love, and respect.